This is Special Prosecutor Larry Klayman.
I'm the only lawyer ever to obtain a court ruling that a president of the United States committed a crime.
For truth, for competition.
As a young lawyer, I helped break up AT&T. That's why you have all your cell phones today.
For sovereignty, for the Republic.
I'm the guy who at Judicial Watch, which I founded, uncovered the Chinagate scandal. Millions of dollars going to the Clinton campaign, corrupting our political system.
For the privacy of citizens.
And I'm the only guy to have enjoined the National Security Agency from mass surveillance on hundreds of millions of Americans.
Tearing it up.
I'm the son of meat packers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I know how to slice and dice.
Bringing it back.
We're going to take this country apart and put it back together again in the way envisioned by our founding fathers.
It's not just talk.
We're not just regurgitating news stories. Larry Klayman, special prosecutor, is making the news.
And now, here's Larry.
A very important show, as I always say, more important. It's now life and death. And we're talking about the coronavirus. Everything else right now, barring some kind of war with Iran, of course, they're using this as an opportunity to threaten the United States. Others may try the same thing. But frankly, at this point in time, this is what the country needs to be focused on, going way into the future with our children and grandchildren are hanging in the balance. And what is making things worse, I wrote several columns this week, I did a number of podcasts, is the profiteering, in particular, of the cable networks. You can go back and listen to some of the podcasts as these things are unfolding day by day. But Fox News started it. The others then picked up because they all want to boost ratings. They're all competing with each other, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, and even the major networks. They have this chart, this chyron, on the right side of a screen when you turn the television set on, and you have to watch it continuously. And it shows people dying in this country and overseas, frankly, on a second-by-second basis. Hear that? Second by second. It's like those signs you used to see on the expressway or the auto route or the freeway, whatever state you're in, they call it different things, shows the national debt climbing. Now, that scares the heck out of people. And the reason they're scaring the heck out of people, beyond that which they should be scared, is because the television ratings of Fox News and the other cables are going through the roof. Now, what happens when the ratings go up? They can charge more for advertising dollars because more people are viewing that network. And Fox is making money hand over fist. So I wrote a letter this week. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org to the chairman of Fox Corporation. He's the son of Rupert Murdoch, Lachlan Murdoch. He's a leftist. His brother, James, is a leftist as well. Rupert is nothing. He just wants to make money. Okay, I mean, he's amoral in many ways. The Murdoch family many years ago even wiretapped and broke into the cell phones of the royal family in Great Britain. But for their money and but for the fact that they likely paid off everybody in the United Kingdom, which is what they generally do, they would have been prosecuted. There were even hearings in front of Parliament. These are not honest people. These are people that covered up the scandal with Roger Ailes, where he sexually harassed my client, Laurie Loon, and many, many others, women over there. They still continue to cover it up. They put in a CEO by the name of Suzanne Scott, who was actually Roger Ailes' right-hand man. You're saying right-hand woman, you might say, who actually procured hotel rooms where Ailes could sexually harass my client, Laurie Loon. This is what you're dealing with over at Fox. People don't realize that because Fox is viewed as conservative. Well, it's not so conservative anymore, except for a few hosts, whether it's Hannity or Tucker Carlson, who pretends he's a conservative, or Laura Ingraham. It's moving far left. You have Chris Wallace, you have Juan Williams, you have Arthel Neville, you have Andrew Napolitano, who's going crazy. And these are the kinds of things that people don't really understand. And that's why we need to basically hang together here, and we need to call it straight. And we need to be able to speak freely and clearly about things, because this is creating a panic in this country. It's driving the stock market down the drain. Each day it loses more money. People are getting to the point where they're going to be in the streets. As the president says, there are going to be a number of suicides. And all the while, these networks are cashing in. And of course, CNN does the same thing. MSNBC does the same thing. But I take greater offense because Fox is supposed to be on our side. But in reality, it's not. If you go back and you look at my book, Horrors, Why and How I Came to Fight the Establishment, you can still get it on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. I explain how, in the years that I was fighting the Clintons at Judicial Watch and thereafter, although ideologically I was closer to Fox, that they were the most unethical of all networks. And I think you're starting to see that right now more and more. In fact, I sent my letter to Lachlan Murdoch to Howard Kurtz, who's, of course, the media correspondent over there. And he has a show every Sunday. Well, don't count on him discussing this because he actually is a leftist himself. I don't know what happened at CNN. He had a show there and he came over to Fox. He had a miraculous conversion to becoming a moderate at Fox. But this is what you're dealing with. And I don't mean to beat up on Fox, but this is crucial now. I've been very critical over the years, but now it's a question of life and death. It's a question of our economy. So I want you to contact Fox News and say, cut it out, guys. You're supposed to represent us. If you want to destroy your brand and move left, they keep Hannity only because he has high ratings. He's not even, frankly, very good. He's not that bright, but he's getting high ratings and people tune in because they want hope. And he says things that aren't going to happen and it grabs people. It happened during the various scandals that were going on with Fusion GPS. Oh, there's going to be justice around the corner. They're doing this. They're doing that. Same guest, shop-worn guest. But people are looking for hope, and I understand that. But if you really want hope, you go to Freedom Watch and you support what we're doing. And here's what we're doing. We don't just talk. We don't just we don't just report the news. We make the news, as we say at the beginning of the show. This is what we've done. We brought a class action lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, for $21 trillion against the Chinese. We already have over 600 people that want to be plaintiffs in that case. I have a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit that we filed to get documentation showing that the NSA, CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, FBI, Director of National Intelligence knew that this is a bioweapon in Wuhan and kept it from the president to set him up so he would be blamed and lose the election in the fall of this year. We have, of course, filed a class action in Israel now. We're going to assist other countries to do the same thing. And if that is not enough, we've also filed a criminal complaint at the International Court of Justice, at the International Criminal Court. They're both related in The Hague, Netherlands, Hague, Holland. Okay, I studied there when I was a young lawyer at the International Court in Holland. So I know the procedures. And I believe that they will take this case up because it's not just enough to pay huge damage. These Chinese criminals, and the Chinese are good people. Chinese Americans, about 30% of the people that have signed up for our class action in Dallas are Asian Americans and Chinese. They're patriotic people. They fled China from the tyranny, from the dictatorship. They didn't want to be part of it. But the dictators in China, communist dictators, Chinese Politburo, President Xi, he's not a nice guy. He's got a nice smile. Looks like a nice guy, but he's evil. These people need to be put in prison and the lock thrown away, the key to the prison cell thrown away. Now, it can happen. The International Criminal Court indicted General Pinochet in Chile years ago, convicted him, and he would have been in prison but for the fact that he died in the interim. So we need your support. This is more important right now than Hillary Clinton. It's more important than the failing Joe Biden. He's not going to win as president. They'll probably have Andrew Cuomo running as the Democratic nominee. He's grandstanding and auditioning every single week. And we need to focus right now on life or death. And it's because we were diverted from these things that China understood that we were vulnerable and found a very clever way to attack the United States and the rest of the Western world, to bring us to our knees. The Chinese government is very smart. Make no mistake about it. They play the long game. They've always done that in history. They don't have to send nuclear missiles across the horizon. What they sent was a bioweapon. And whether they did it by accident or by design, it is having the same effect. Because once it got out, the Chinese knew it would devastate the United States and the rest of the Western world. And that helps China because China's been meaning to compete with us all these different years. And now the stupidity of investing in China and allowing China to invest in the United States has to be reconsidered. It's not enough. I listened to Senator Tom Cotton, the military guy. He's pulling punches too, frankly. It's disgusting. So people are asking him on Fox News, okay, his favorite place. They have the same guests all the time, never changes, never hear from anybody new. You just hear the same shop-worn BS every single night, particularly on Hannity. Hannity asks him, what are you going to do about China? He says, well, let's stop doing business with them. Well, it's not enough to stop doing business with them. They have to be punished. They have to be put in prison, the members of the Politburo and the president and people who knew about this. They need to pay the damage. Why does the American taxpayer have to pay the damage? Right now, it's $2.2 trillion. Pelosi and Schiff and everybody else, they want another $2 trillion. This country is going to be it already is bankrupt. But we're going to be put into such a hole that our children and grandchildren are going to be living in abject poverty. So this is why you need to support Freedom Watch. We talk clearly. We don't talk out of both sides of our mouth. And I thank Radio America for that, for allowing me to get the message out. They're courageous at Radio America, and we're courageous at Freedom Watch. And you too, the American people, you're courageous. This is the clarion call. You are the Paul Revere. You are the founding fathers. You know what this country stands for. You know, with all these dictatorial orders, and I'm going to talk about that in the next segment, by the state governors, we're becoming a socialist gulag. Everybody's now in the dole. Freebies for everybody. Plus, we have orders, dictatorial orders, that unless you obey the government, you will be thrown in prison. What does that sound like? Does that sound like Atlas Shrugged at Ayn Rand? Does that sound like 1984? Well, that's where we are today. And that's why join Freedom Watch's Justice League. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Sign up for our class actions. Contribute with tax-deductible contributions. We are your hope. We are your Justice Department. You have no government Justice Department. I'll be right back.
Fearless.
Disclaimer, he's crazy, he's racist, he's out to kill the Democrats.
Dangerous.
Don't care, he uses the court and the law.
Lethal.
This is bad,
Special Prosecutor
very bad.
Larry Klayman.
If you'd like to support Freedom Watch and this radio show, go to freedomwatchusa.org.
Now let's talk about the dictatorships that are coming into play in the various states. It started in California with Governor Gavin Newsom, who issued a draconian order, unbelievable, that people either stay at home or the police will arrest you and throw you in jail. Now, he did not have authority to do that. Certainly, it was good for him to come out and say, look, practice social distancing, get tested, stay away from other people, good hygiene, wash your hands, be careful. But he doesn't have the authority to order the police to throw people in jail. And in fact, that's what happened. So one of my close friends and clients, Ben Stein, the very famous actor, a great writer, a financial expert, and a lawyer, graduated from Yale Law School. He is a conservative, so I don't know that that's something that Ben would have done retroactively, going to Yale. But on the other side of the coin, he's a courageous guy, and he's a good guy. And he asked me to file a lawsuit against the governor, not provocative, because we want people to be safe, but we wanted a declaratory judgment as to whether or not the governor has the authority to throw people in jail. And we filed that in Sacramento, which is where the state government in California is located. The complaint's being processed and it's going through the courts. Now, no sooner than Gavin Newsom gave that order, governors in other states gave the same order. Now, even in my home state of Florida, you can't even go out on the beach without threat of being arrested. And I like Governor DeSantis, but see, these politicians have a mindset. That's why they're politicians. It's quote called, I don't want to be blamed. That's the kind of mindset that you have in government. Not risk takers, people don't want to be blamed. I used to have a lawyer that worked for me that was in the military legal establishment, JAG. Okay, and he worked for me after that. He was still in the National Guard, and he would always say to me, "Larry, I'll resign." I would say to him, I don't want to use his name. I'd say, "You don't have to resign. Okay, just do it the right way next time. Don't cover your behind. Say what exactly occurred and get on with it." Well, that's the same thing with politicians. So they're overreacting, putting people in effect in prison in their homes when they could be going out, doing other things, walking through the park. And Ben Stein had friends who were walking through a park in Los Angeles, and the police threatened to arrest them and then find them. He has a Filipino minister, a pastor in downtown Los Angeles, who just wanted to have a service with less than 10 people. And of course, that's one of the guidelines. Don't congregate more than 10 people. He was threatened with arrest. Now, if you couple the fact that we now have this socialism taking hold where the government is controlling the people financially, you're now dependent on the government for survival, with trillions of dollars being doled out. There's going to be a lot of fraud. People are going to be laying off their employees. Those employees will work under the table, and the employers will get money. That's, once you have a social welfare program, there's a lot of fraud, taxpayers getting ripped off. If you couple that with dictatorial orders, what do you have? You have the Soviet Union. You have communism. That's where we're headed. And once these things take hold, it's very hard to go back to the way you were. So the left in this country is very clever, just like the Chinese are clever. Of course, they're both leftists, right? One's even more leftist than the other. China's even further left than the radical left in this country, but they're both left. They're both followers of Mao Zedong. Where do you think it came from? Mao and Trotsky and Lenin and Marx. These are their gods. They don't have a god. This is their god. Government is their god. So this is the opportunity of a lifetime, no pun intended, to take control of this country and change it. And we've heard about that. Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, says, we'll never be the same. We're never going back. He knows what he's doing. They all know what they're doing. This is their opportunity to seize control. And you're going to have a lot of social unrest. You're going to have violence in the streets. We're trying to prevent that. And that's why we bring these lawsuits, because we need to fight back. And the president, and I don't know where he's been on this issue, and I love the guy, but seems like he's being blackmailed by China, frankly, because all he says is, I love President Xi of China. I have great respect for China. I have good friendship with him. Donald, give us a break here, okay? Let's hear the truth. They usually tell the truth, and that's why I love you. But you need to support Freedom Watch. You need to have your attorney general not oppose our lawsuits and make sure that we do the right thing. So I'll be right back with our friends from Israel who just filed a class action complaint, and we hope the rest of the world follows suit.
And now, 4 words that make corrupt politicians make wee-wee in their little pants.
Transparency and the rule of law will be the touchstones of this presidency.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Special Prosecutor Larry Klayman.
Be the one who makes our country great again. Go to freedomwatchusa.org and donate.
I'm back with my new friends and colleagues in Israel. I'm very proud to present them. They saw what we had done in Dallas, Texas, with regard to our class action against China. Israel has very, very serious problems. They're located in Tel Aviv. A class action has been filed in Jerusalem, Israel, on the same grounds that we filed it in Dallas, Texas, and your Freedom Watch is obviously a plaintiff in that case as well. I want to introduce you to my new and proud colleagues in Israel, legal colleagues, who filed this lawsuit, spent 17 hours preparing it overnight, was filed just yesterday. This is breaking news. And not just in Israel, but around the world, people are wanting to get relief, remedies against China for the great damage that has been done. Ladies and gentlemen, introduce yourself to our audience. I'm very proud to have you as colleagues in on my show.
Hello, here from Tel Aviv, Israel. This is Ruth Magnus, advocate. Jacob Badur advocate and Ariadne Kowalski advocate, we feel very lucky to participate in this important procedure. We're devastated by the fact that Chinese hide the information of the virus instead of informing and letting the world know what's going on. They hide the information, and we're very devastated. Here in Israel, as well as the rest of the world, we're the economic in very bad situation. People are actually dying, and I feel it's like a terrorist attack. We're under terrorist attack of a biological weapon. Bibi Netanyahu, our prime minister, on the news said himself that this is a biological weapon that escaped from the lab in Wuhan, China. So, according to our prime minister, I trust what he said, and I myself and the rest of my people in Israel feel like we're under attack of biological weapons. Here is my colleague, Ariadne Kowalski, advocate. He would like to say something.
Hello. We filed this class action because we know that China's authorities are hiding details and important information, like the rate of death toll, and like they didn't tell the public and the health authorities that there is a new virus, September 19, and they held the information for 1.5 weeks that they could prevent the spread of the virus around the world. I think that China must be accountable to lack of transparency and lack of information to the World Health Organization. So, and also in Wuhan, there is the biological facility that develop viruses like Ebola and other viruses. And I think, and my colleagues think, that they must be accountable to this facility for the rest of the world, because the damage that this virus provoke around the world, it's like a war. People are in the houses. People are dying. Thousands of people dying just like flies. So that's why we present with Freedom Watch our class claim.
I would encourage other people from all over the world to join to this important procedure to bring the truth out to the world, and not to hide behind false statements, and put the truth out here. I would like to let my colleague, he's the head of the Social Rights Committee in the Israeli Bar Association, Yaakov Badur, to say a couple of words. Badur?
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you. I say two things. One thing, I think this the very, very best they should ever be. And I say, if the government of the China, will vote to pay the doctor a warning before all these things and tell him about the COVID-19, I think everything is okay, and no say about it. You know, that's what I say.
Well, what you're doing is very important, because I'm getting contacted, and you will soon be too. This is Larry, by people all over the world, just A few minutes ago, I got contacted by a lawyer in Uganda. We've gotten contacted from lawyers in Turkey, in Poland, in India, in Sri Lanka, all over the world, because the entire world is affected. I mean, this is like a science fiction movie, only it's for real. And China obviously was developing a biological weapon or engineering this virus, because every time it goes from one person to another, it mutates into a different form. It has shut down the world. The world is on its knees. And Israel, who I love, is a very small nation and could easily be devastated quickly by something like this. It doesn't have the financial resources of the United States. So what's the reaction so far in Israel to the case that we filed yesterday?
We're getting a lot of support from the people. People think that this is important lawsuit, that we should proceed in full force, whether we should investigate all the details that were hidden and go through with this important procedure. And China needs to take responsibility for the damage that they caused, and to be accountable to what they did. Another thing, we asked a doctor that specialized in biological welfare to give us her opinion, and as an expert, and we're gonna use her personal expert opinion in during the lawsuit. And again, this expert claimed that this kind of virus can only be made in a laboratory condition. This is not a virus that was designed in the nature. It was designed specifically to cause death, infection, to kill people. And the only place that it could be designed is in a laboratory. As a result of that, we are sure that we're going to bring the truth out. We are sure that the Israeli court will find China responsible for spreading this biological weapon, and we know that the truth always wins, and China should be accountable for this horrible attack all over the world.
I want to add another fact. This is the advocate Aryeh Sukovolsky. The first cases of coronavirus were
Yes.
Okay. Back with our friends from Israel. We got cut off a little bit. The connection died. But I want you to explain about China. China has invested in Israel. So when we get a damage award, we'll be able to collect in Israel just as we can collect in the United States. Tell us a little bit about that, the Chinese investment.
Okay. The Chinese bought a lot of properties in Israel. They bought businesses like Nuva, which is the biggest dairy product factory. They bought
electricity facility in Ashdod. So they buy infrastructure of a vital infrastructure of Israel and a vital companies here in Israel. And if the case will be approved by the Israeli court, we can attach and make attachment of these assets of the Chinese in order to get the damages from this virus. I think. What
do we think the time frame is going to be to get to a trial on this matter? I hope to come to Israel and be there at the time.
Usually it takes between 2 to 3 months until they set up a hearing. It would be our pleasure to have you here in the court hearing. It will be very important. The court will be in Jerusalem with 3 judges. And yes, this is we're waiting for the hearing. It will be the first hearing.
Of course, we have to serve the complaint, and we're also doing that here in the United States. How do you go about giving the complaint to China to give them a chance to respond?
The procedure works that way. We have to serve the Ministry of Affairs office, and they will transfer the lawsuit to the Chinese. Yes, it's done through the Foreign Affairs.
What's very interesting is that, what's very interesting is that Prime Minister Netanyahu said something that President Trump obviously knows, but will not say. Now, obviously, we love President Trump. He's been a great friend to Israel, and I believe the American people as well. I support him. But I have to believe that American intelligence services like the CIA, and of course, in Israel, you have a very fine intelligence service, the Mossad, which is the world's leading intelligence service. They have to know what happened here. But that information is not being given to the American people. Apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu did give it to the Israeli people, and frankly, I have greater trust in Mossad than I do in the CIA. It's much more competent and I think much more direct than our own intelligence service, who obviously, really didn't give us correct information leading up to the war in Iraq. So this is important that the Prime Minister himself recognizes that this virus came from a bioweapons lab, or at least a lab in Wuhan, China. That's the only lab that China has for biological weapons. So does 2 and 2 equal 4? I would say yes. And this is a very, very strong case. Your thoughts?
I'm really surprised to hear what I heard just now. Basically, what you're saying is that the CIA didn't expose information that it knew that the source of the virus is from the biological weapon laboratory, and this information was hidden from the American people. I cannot believe what I heard just now.
Yes.
Wow, it's unbelievable.
That's what I said. And also, we have a lawsuit to get the information from the CIA and other intelligence agencies to the American people. The CIA was being run by people not loyal to President Trump. They actually tried to remove him from office with wiretaps and phony warrants. And I think they kept the information from the president to set him up so he can take the blame for what's going on right now in this country. So it's very, very dangerous. And you know what's happening in Israel with Prime Minister Netanyahu. There are forces that are trying to remove him. So I want to thank you both, all of you, more than 2 of you, for becoming my colleagues and working with me. This is a very important endeavor, and we'll have you on in future shows. Shalom, and God bless you.
Before he was a trial lawyer, he sliced him and diced him.
People used to ask me, Larry, what caused you to start Judicial Watch and now Freedom Watch, given the powerful forces in this country that put you at risk?
In a meat packing plant.
I'm the son of meat packers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I know how to slice and dice.
A very special prosecutor, Larry Klayman.
If you'd like to support Freedom Watch and this radio show, go to freedomwatchusa.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, we're in a crisis that we can handle if we actually do something. If we get up off the couch, if we turn off Fox News and get to work. We need to join together, the people of this country, the people of the world, and bring China, not the Chinese people, they're good people, but to bring the leadership, the communist leadership in China who are destroying the world to their knees. They need to be locked up. They need to pay the price. The American taxpayer does not need to pay for the damage that is done. That is not free money. That's something that you'll be taxed on later. That's something that will bring this country into further financial ruin. So I want you to go to freedomwatchusa.org. Sign up for our class action suit against China in Dallas. We'll be bringing it in other places as well, throughout the world, throughout the United States. Become a member of Freedom Watch's Justice League. contribute with tax-deductible contributions. We need the help. We're small. We have to get more lawyers. We have to have logistics to be able to coordinate this legal attack, peaceful and legal in China, to have them pay for the damage, to have the criminals thrown in prison through the International Criminal Court. There's going to be travel involved. I'm going to be a great risk here. Make no mistake about it. I'm leading the charge. I'm not pounding my own chest. What I'm saying is that our founding fathers pledged their lives, risked their lives to create a new nation. Well, this new nation, the Free Republic, is now under attack. It's under threat of going under, like ancient Rome. The barbarians have gotten through the gates. The Chinese leadership in Beijing got through the gates. They did it cleverly. They did it with the coronavirus. Now it is in our cities. It's in our states. It's in our nation. They just sit back laughing and smiling. President Xi smiling. Looks like a nice guy, right? He's not a nice guy. Sits there smiling as the United States and the rest of the Western world burn. So consequently, we need to rise up. I need your support. You need to support yourself. Turn off Hannity. Turn off Tucker Carlson. Turn off Laura Ingraham, and for sure, turn off the leftists on Fox News, whether it's Chris Wallace, Juan Williams, Andrew Napolitano, Arthur Neville, and a host of others who are taking control of that network. Don't watch the chyrons. Don't watch the charts that show people dying minute by minute. That doesn't do anything. That's going to result in alcoholism, drug use, suicide, rampant in this country. And CNN and MSNBC, they're as bad, if not worse. But they're raking in money, hand over fist. They're like Judas. You know, they've taken the shekels here, and they're selling out the American people for money. You see the smiles on Fox News and the other networks? These hosts know they're going to get raises next year. The rest of us live in you-know-what. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, join our cause, and write to Fox News. Tell them to cut it out. Tell them that you understand what they're doing, that this is not right. You know, they're not supposed to be on our side, but they're not on our side. They're jingling the change. It's no longer fair and balanced. It's we jingle the change for profit. Nothing we can do about CNN and MSNBC. They're simply evil. Let them do their thing. But the people that are supposed to be on our side need to be given the facts of life. Turn off the station and get to work. And that's all I have to say, because right now we're at a crossroads in our nation's history. If we don't act and we don't do it for ourselves, then we're going to perish. Now, the president knows that we are dependent on a lot of medicine from China, on masks, on everything else. So he's not going against China. We need to do it ourselves. I don't hate the Chinese. I like the Chinese people. I think they're great people. And look at the people who signed up for our class action. 30% Asian Americans at least, and growing. So don't take it out on them. Let's take it out on the leadership in China. They fled China, the people that are signing up for this lawsuit. Asian Americans. They're our backbone. They're hardworking people. They're good people. And we need to make sure that we stay a capitalist country, free from socialism, free from communism, free from dictatorships. And that's where we're headed. These state governors are afraid of their shadow. They don't want to be blamed. They're issuing these orders. You'll be arrested if you don't obey what they have to say. That doesn't mean that you don't follow guidelines for good health and safety. You should do that. But things have to be done rationally. So I want to thank you for listening to me. God bless you. God bless your family. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our class action. Support what we do. I'll be back next week with another edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman. Thank you for listening to me.